Are you dealing with a bad manager? Dealing with a difficult boss can make going to work less fun than doing your taxes. And bad bosses are the leading reason why good employees quit. But before you put in your resignation to get away from your bad manager, watch this video and find out if you can reform them. If you're ready to give it a try, tap that like button and let's jump straight into it. The first thing to do when you're dealing with a bad boss is to depersonalize the situation. Sure, their bad boss behavior is impacting you, but it actually has nothing to do with you. In my experience, bad managers aren't malicious managers hell-bent on making your life miserable AF. They just have no idea what they're doing. Sometimes they're just doing their best, even if it's not very best. And while you should not be gossiping at work, especially about your boss, you may have noticed that they're a bad boss to everyone. An equal opportunity bad leader, if you will. In most cases that I see, the real problem with your bad manager is that they just have no clue on how to actually be a manager, let alone an effective leader. So somehow they've ended up acting like some bad caricature from a 90s sitcom. It's not really their fault though. It's usually because of a lack of training. And that brings us to our next step to deal with a bad manager, and that is to have empathy. Imagine working hard to get a promotion at work. You are delighted and so excited for this next step. You daydream about what a great job you're going to do and what a great manager you're going to be. I mean, you certainly have zero intentions of becoming someone's nightmare manager, but in the real world, it's often much more like a Pinterest expectations versus reality. Chad is the most wonderful leader ever. Oh my God, Chad is the actual worst. Okay, team, go do the work. WTF is everyone doing, and why won't they reply to my emails? Oh, Susie, I'm so glad you came to me for assistance. Susie, what were you thinking? Why didn't you come and ask for help? Well, you get the picture. It's rare to meet someone who actually wants to create a bad team culture. Name one person who dreamed of growing up to become the bad boss. The problem is a positive team culture takes work, and many managers receive little to no training on how to do just that. And that is why this next step can be so helpful when you are dealing with a bad manager. It's time for you to start managing up. Okay, I know what you might be thinking, but guess what? Them making you miserable is your problem. To be honest, until you quit, they might not care. Luckily, managing up can help you manage a bad boss. You can guide them on decision making that impacts your role, and even on how to manage you more effectively. This is so powerful when you're dealing with a bad boss that I have an entire video on it. In case you want to check it out after this one, I'll drop the link in the description bar. And we can move into the fourth step in dealing with a difficult manager. Adapt to their limitations. Your bad manager is human, you know? And all humans are flawed. Even you, which is shocking because you're so awesome. Just like you, managers have their strengths and their weaknesses. And the weaknesses that are making your bad boss into a bad boss might be limitations that you can adapt to. For example, if your manager is bad at communicating updates proactively to your team, you can regularly ask them for updates. Or you can manage up with your bad boss and suggest a regular team meeting. Your bad manager's limitations are not things that you will be able to fix. They have to do that on their own. But if you can mitigate or adjust expectations, it might make your bad boss much less bothersome. If you have reached this phase and your boss is still intolerable, it is time to move into the next step in dealing with a difficult boss. And that is to act with awareness. The action you might be daydreaming of taking might look like, "F this, you horrible person, I quit." Fantasizing about quitting in a blaze of glory can be fun, but don't do it. Perhaps instead you can try speaking with them. The other day on LinkedIn, someone shared this awesome quote with me. "Don't assume malice when stupidity will suffice." Most people are dreadfully unself-aware. Is that a word? Speaking to your bad manager about your concerns, about how they deliver feedback, the level of supervision that's reasonable, i.e. not micromanagement, and the like. It may actually enlighten them to the problem, and then they can fix it. This can be hard to do when the impact I frequently see when someone is working with a bad manager has taken hold. If your bad manager has undermined or impacted your confidence at work, work, you might have lost sight about how awesome you are. And whether you're dealing with a bad boss, or planning to move into a new role or even a new company to escape your bad manager, you need to know what makes you so great. If you don't already know your UAQ, your unique awesomeness quotient, I have a resource down below that is going to help you figure it all out. If at this stage though, you've decided that the next step is to escalate, you're going to speak to their boss or to human resources, ask yourself a really quick question. Will this help? Complaining about your boss might not win you any favors. Before you take that step, be aware of the possible and the likely impact of the action. You won't know for sure until you try, but do remember that every action has a reaction. And that brings me to the next step in dealing with a bad boss, and that is to know what you're dealing with. There is a massive difference between a bad boss who can be reformed, or at least be minimally annoying, and a toxic manager. After all, even when you have a boss that you adore, they're going to do things that you don't like. Sometimes even the best bosses can be bad bosses. But a toxic manager is truly going to up the ante, and in my opinion, the only effective strategy to deal with them is an escape plot. In my next video, I'm gonna deep dive into the difference between a bad manager and a toxic manager. If you wanna see that one, make sure that you're subscribed. In the meantime, go and check out this video right now with the signs of a toxic manager. Of course, before you go, if this helped you figure out how to deal with your bad boss, give it a like. It really helps my channel and it makes you my favorite person. As always, thank you so much for watching, my friend. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.